Picture this. It's 3 a.m. and you're lying in bed, heart racing like you just ran a marathon. But all you did was think about tomorrow's meeting. Your chest feels tight. Your mind won't stop spinning with worst-case scenarios. And that familiar knot in your stomach is back again. Sound familiar? You've tried everything. Meditation apps, breathing exercises, even avoiding certain situations. But somehow, your anxiety keeps getting worse. What if I told you that some of the very things you're doing to help yourself are actually feeding your anxiety monster? Today, I'm going to reveal the hidden habits that are sabotaging your peace of mind, and more importantly, show you simple, natural ways to break free from this exhausting cycle once and for all. If you're tired of feeling trapped by anxiety and ready to discover gentle, natural approaches that actually work, you're in the right place. This channel is dedicated to helping people like you find real relief through accessible solutions that don't require expensive treatments or complicated routines. Here, we explore how simple changes in your daily habits, nutrition, and mindset can create profound shifts in your mental well-being. Subscribe now and join thousands of others who are reclaiming their peace of mind naturally. Hit that notification bell, because every video could be the breakthrough you've been searching for. Before we dive in, I'd love to know where you're watching from today. Drop your city or country in the comments below, and if you have any specific anxiety struggles you'd like me to address, let me know. Your questions help me create content that truly serves this amazing community we're building together. Have you ever noticed how the more you try to avoid situations that make you anxious, the scarier they become in your mind? This is one of the most common, yet devastating mistakes people make when dealing with anxiety. Every time you cancel plans, skip social events, or find excuses to avoid challenging situations, you're sending a powerful message to your brain that these situations are genuinely dangerous. Your nervous system, designed to protect you, interprets avoidance as confirmation that there's real threat present. What happens inside your body during avoidance is fascinating yet troubling. When you sidestep anxiety-provoking situations, your brain releases a temporary flood of relief chemicals, which feels good in the moment. However, this relief comes at a steep price. Your brain's threat detection system becomes more sensitive, not less. It's like having a security alarm that becomes more triggered every time you validate its warnings. The neural pathways associated with fear and threat detection actually strengthen, making you more likely to perceive danger in similar situations in the future. I want to hear from you right now. Have you found yourself avoiding places, people, or situations because of anxiety? You're not alone in this struggle, and sharing your experience might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today. Comment below, "I avoid blank because of my anxiety," and fill in the blank. Your honesty could be the lifeline someone desperately needs to realize they're not the only one fighting this battle. Let's break the silence around anxiety together. Research shows that avoidance behavior can increase anxiety symptoms by up to 300% over time. Think about a muscle that you never use. It becomes weaker and weaker until even simple tasks feel impossible. Your confidence works the same way. Every avoided conversation, skipped opportunity, or cancelled plan chips away at your belief in your own capability to handle challenging situations. This creates a vicious cycle where your world becomes smaller and smaller, while your anxiety grows larger and larger. You might find yourself making elaborate plans to avoid certain routes, people, or activities, spending enormous mental energy on strategizing your escape, rather than living your life. The solution isn't to throw yourself into the deep end immediately, but rather to understand that gradual, gentle exposure is medicine for your nervous system. When you face situations in small, manageable doses while using proper support techniques, you teach your brain that these situations are survivable. You build evidence against anxiety's lies. Start with the smallest possible version of what you're avoiding. If social situations trigger you, maybe it's a 5-minute conversation with a neighbor. If driving causes panic, perhaps it's sitting in your parked car for a few minutes. The key is consistency and gentleness with yourself, not heroic gestures that overwhelm your system. In our hyper-connected world, many anxiety sufferers fall into the trap of consuming endless information about their condition, thinking that knowledge alone will set them free. While understanding anxiety is helpful, there's a point where research becomes rumination, and learning becomes a form of mental self-harm. Spending hours reading about worst-case scenarios, researching symptoms, or diving deep into medical literature can actually rewire your brain to focus more intensely on threat and danger. Your brain has something called a reticular activating system, which acts like a filter for the millions of pieces of information you encounter daily. When you constantly feed it anxiety-related content, you're essentially programming it to notice and prioritize anything that confirms your fears. It's like buying a red car and suddenly seeing red cars everywhere. They were always there, but now your brain is tuned to spot them. The same thing happens with anxiety symptoms, potential threats, and reasons to worry. Consider how different your day feels when you start it by reading news headlines versus when you begin with something uplifting or calming. Studies have shown that consuming negative information first thing in the morning can increase cortisol levels for the entire day, leaving you in a state of chronic low-level stress. This elevated baseline makes you more reactive to normal daily stressors, turning minor inconveniences into major anxiety triggers. Your nervous system operates on a hair trigger, ready to activate the fight or flight response at the smallest provocation. The constant stream of what if scenarios that come from over-researching creates what psychologists call anticipatory anxiety. You're not just anxious about what's happening now, but about everything that could potentially happen. This forward-focused worry pulls you completely out of the present moment, where life is actually happening, and traps you in an imaginary future filled with problems that may never materialize. Your body responds to these imagined threats as if they were real, flooding your system with stress hormones and keeping you in a perpetual state of alertness. Breaking free from information overload requires setting firm boundaries around your consumption habits. Create specific times for checking news or researching health topics and stick to them religiously. Consider implementing a digital sunset where you stop consuming any stimulating content at least 2 hours before bed. Replace the habit of scrolling with activities that nourish your nervous system. Gentle stretching, reading fiction, listening to calming music, or practicing gratitude. Your brain needs space to process and integrate information, not a constant influx of new data to analyze and worry about. Perfectionism and anxiety are intimate dance partners, each one feeding the other in an exhausting cycle that leaves you feeling like you're never good enough, never safe enough, never prepared enough. The perfectionist mindset tells you that if you can just control every variable, anticipate every possible problem, and execute everything flawlessly, you'll finally feel secure. But here's the cruel irony. The more you strive for perfection, the more anxious you become. Because perfection is an impossible standard that sets you up for constant failure and disappointment. Your nervous system interprets perfectionist thoughts as urgent threats that require immediate action. When you think, I have to get this exactly right or something terrible will happen, your body responds as if you're facing actual danger. Your heart rate increases, your muscles tense, and stress hormones flood your bloodstream. This physiological response was designed for escaping predators, not for writing emails or organizing your closet. But your ancient brain doesn't know the difference between a saber-toothed tiger and a messy presentation. The exhaustion that comes with perfectionism isn't just mental, it's deeply physical. Constantly scanning for potential mistakes, rehearsing conversations to find the perfect words, or redoing tasks multiple times burns through your energy reserves like a car with a gas leak. Your adrenal glands, responsible for producing stress hormones, become overworked and depleted. This can lead to a cascade of symptoms including fatigue, brain fog, digestive issues, and ironically, even more anxiety as your body struggles to maintain balance with depleted resources. Perfectionism also creates a distorted relationship with mistakes and failure. Instead of seeing errors as natural parts of learning and growth, they become evidence of your inadequacy and proof that disaster is imminent. This black and white thinking pattern keeps you trapped in a world where anything less than perfect feels catastrophic. You might spend hours agonizing over a simple decision, paralyzed by the fear of making the wrong choice, when in reality, most decisions are reversible and the consequences are far less severe than your anxiety predicts. The antidote to perfectionism isn't lowering your standards to mediocrity, but rather embracing what researchers call optimal performance. Doing your best with the resources you have available in the moment, then letting go of the outcome. This might mean sending an email that's good enough rather than perfect. Leaving your house even though your hair isn't exactly right. Or speaking up in a meeting despite not having every word perfectly planned. Each time you choose good enough over perfect, you're rewiring your brain to understand that imperfection is not only survivable, but often leads to better outcomes than paralyzed perfectionism. Most people experiencing anxiety have no idea that their breathing patterns are actually making their symptoms worse. When you're anxious, there's a natural tendency to breathe quickly and shallowly, using only the upper portion of your lungs. This type of breathing, called thoracic breathing, creates a cascade of physiological changes that intensify anxiety symptoms. Your body interprets rapid, shallow breathing as a sign that you're in danger, which triggers even more stress hormones and keeps you locked in a cycle of escalating panic. Shallow breathing means you're not getting adequate oxygen to your brain, despite feeling like you can't catch your breath. This oxygen deficit affects your ability to think clearly, make decisions, and regulate your emotions. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thinking and emotional regulation, requires substantial oxygen to function properly. When it's starved of oxygen, your more primitive brain centers take over, leaving you feeling reactive, impulsive, and overwhelmed by emotions that seem to come out of nowhere. The carbon dioxide levels in your blood also become imbalanced with chronic shallow breathing. Many people don't realize that the feeling of breathlessness isn't usually due to lack of oxygen, but rather to improper CO2 levels. When you breathe too quickly, you exhale too much carbon dioxide, which creates a condition called hypercapnia. This can cause dizziness, tingling in your hands and feet, feelings of unreality, and ironically, the sensation that you can't get enough air. Your body responds by making you feel like you need to breathe even faster, creating a vicious cycle that can escalate into full panic attacks. The position of your body throughout the day also significantly impacts your breathing patterns. Hours spent hunched over computers, phones, or steering wheels compress your diaphragm and rib cage, making deep breathing nearly impossible. Your shoulders creep up toward your ears, your chest caves inward, and your breathing becomes restricted to the very top of your lungs. This chronic postural breathing restriction keeps your nervous system in a low-level state of alarm, as your body interprets the inability to breathe deeply as a sign of ongoing threat. Transforming your breathing patterns requires both awareness and practice. Start by simply noticing how you breathe throughout the day. Set gentle reminders on your phone to check in with your breath without judgment. Practice what's called belly breathing, where you focus on expanding your abdomen rather than lifting your chest. Place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. During healthy breathing, the hand on your belly should move more than the hand on your chest. Even 3 minutes of conscious deep breathing can shift your nervous system from a state of stress to a state of calm, lowering your heart rate, reducing muscle tension, and clearing your mind for better decision-making. Sleep and anxiety have a complex bidirectional relationship that most people don't fully understand. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it fundamentally alters your brain's ability to regulate emotions, process stress, and maintain perspective on daily challenges. When you're sleep deprived, your amygdala, the brain's alarm center, becomes up to 60% more reactive to potential threats. This means that situations that wouldn't normally bother you can suddenly feel overwhelming and insurmountable when you haven't gotten adequate rest. During quality sleep, your brain performs essential maintenance that directly impacts your anxiety levels. The glymphatic system, discovered only recently by neuroscientists, acts like a dishwasher for your brain, flushing out toxins and metabolic waste that accumulate during waking hours. When this cleaning process is disrupted by poor sleep, inflammation increases throughout your nervous system, making you more susceptible to anxiety, depression, and emotional volatility. Additionally, REM sleep helps process and integrate emotional experiences from the day, filing away memories and reducing their emotional charge. Many anxiety sufferers unknowingly sabotage their sleep through well-meaning but counterproductive bedtime habits. Using phones, tablets, or computers within 2 hours of bedtime exposes your eyes to blue light, which suppresses melatonin production and tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. Consuming caffeine after 2 p.m. can interfere with sleep quality, even if you feel like it doesn't affect you, as caffeine has a half-life of 6 to 8 hours and can remain in your system much longer than you realize. Even having intense conversations, watching stimulating content, or engaging in vigorous exercise close to bedtime can elevate your nervous system when it should be winding down. The bedroom environment itself plays a crucial role in sleep quality that extends far beyond comfort. Temperature, light, sound, and even the colors on your walls can impact how quickly you fall asleep and how deeply you rest. Your body temperature naturally drops as you prepare for sleep, so keeping your bedroom between 65-68 degrees supports this natural process. Even small amounts of light can disrupt sleep cycles, so investing in blackout curtains or an eye mask can make a significant difference. Sounds that vary in volume are more disruptive than consistent background noise, which is why many people sleep better with a fan or white noise machine. Creating a sleep sanctuary requires intentionality about both your pre-sleep routine and your physical environment. Begin winding down at least an hour before your intended bedtime with activities that signal to your nervous system that it's time to rest. This might include gentle stretching, reading something light and pleasant, practicing gratitude, or doing some simple breathing exercises. Keep your bedroom cool, dark, and quiet, and consider it a sacred space reserved only for sleep and intimacy. If you find your mind racing with worries when you lie down, keep a journal beside your bed to write down any concerns or tomorrow's tasks, giving your brain permission to let go of these thoughts until morning. If you recognize yourself in any of these patterns, please know that awareness is the first step toward freedom. You're not broken, and you're not weak. You're simply human, dealing with an overloaded nervous system in an overwhelming world. The beautiful truth is that every habit that's been feeding your anxiety can be gently transformed into one that feeds your peace instead. Start with just one small change today, whether it's taking 3 deep breaths, setting a boundary around information consumption, or creating a calming bedtime routine. Remember, healing isn't about perfection. It's about progress, compassion, and tiny, consistent steps toward the life you deserve. If this resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need to hear this message. Subscribe for more gentle, practical approaches to mental wellness. And remember, you have everything within you to heal and thrive. Your journey to peace starts now.